How y'all doing? This is another episode of True Seven. I'm Devorjae, coming at you live. And before I get started on my subject today, I just want to pay homage, give honors, and shout outs to webisodes like 13 Signs Astrology, Brant Berhoft, and Infinite Waters. Any site that's giving out any accurate signs, spiritual signs, occult knowledge, hidden knowledge, and anything that's trying to shed light and truth on the people. Just want to give those people credit, and also just thank everyone who's watching this channel, who has come to watch any of my channels. It's an honor to be providing a lot of knowledge and truth to people. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that. So let that be known. Put that in the universe. Um, but yeah, this episode, I'll take these off because that glare is icky. This episode, I'm going to talk about Alpha Draconia and Alpha Draconian, and the characters and how they fit within the reality and history, and the part played by their vibration and by their contribution to life in general. Because when I teach these things, when I talk to people, you have to remember there's many aspects of life, and one of the I don't want to say most important, but something that plays a big part in evidence into finding out a lot about things is history, because history has to do with material and actions that have been taken, and that connect to the now and into the future. Even and all those are on one string of the time spectrum timeline, because time doesn't exist. Time is only location, and basically through history you can find out locations of certain events to find out what's going on in the present. So with that further being said, uh, Alpha Draconian, the Alpha Draconian and Alpha Draconians come from the Alpha Draconian star constellation, and that constellation, if you want to go by light years, is very one of the top furthest ones. And the further away, the further that you go in history, the more close to the truth you get, and the more events happen in a line uh, relative to history, basically. So with the Alpha Draconians, to get to this point now, they play a big part within who we are and what's going on now, because they are one of the higher reptilian species. And there are many types of reptilian species, with the draconians, alpha draconians, reptilians, anukkais. And within the Nukai records, you can look all this information up, because the alpha draconians, most of the interaction that was going on within the development and the splicing and the creating of the engine, the genetic engine that your spirit is in. Because remember, history, as I said, coordinates with material and living, but you have your etheric inside, your spirit, your energy, which is another part of your being. And you have your being is a many mixture of many beings. And just as there are many types of African Americans, many different types of Spaniards that trickle down within a tree. There's levels to it, and the higher you go up in that tree and of genetics, the more further back you get into your historical beings being mixed into what beings have come to be now. So uh, the big part about the Afro Draconians and how they play a part within human genetics and humans in existence is that mostly during the most accounted records, but it has been going on for a while. But within the Egyptian era and even up until then, and even now, there's a lot of interaction between reptilian type beings. And then this is the thing: there's no such, it's an inconclusive universe. There's no good or bad. There's only agenda and intent. And you can't forget that along with these beings coordinate, they're trying to build the engine to carry out their work, and only for constriction and control. And that's only certain types of branches of reptilian beings. Because when it comes to the Alpha Draconian, when it comes to some of our mathematics and basically technology, a lot of things passed down to even get to this point. It had to do with them when within Egypt, when things they had flying vehicles, they had all this stuff. There's nothing new under the sun. All this stuff has been here, but you have to realize through all the splicing and genetic builds, they were introducing and visiting and giving this information actually watching us grasp and learn. And there were many beings putting in their hand to build and create different civilizations of mankind. So, and that's when you have man, you have mankind. Don't forget that. So when it comes to, you got PP. Dang, that was real dark. I'll get back to it. So when it comes to uh, basically getting to the point that we are at now, uh, when it comes to the creators, mostly with the Alpha Draconian vibration, it's in many people. When it comes to and how you trace this and trace this down to genetics is basically through symbols and then through numbers and vibrations because everything's frequency. So most likely, if you when you consider yourself a light worker, if you're a 22, if you're a 7, if you're born on certain star constellations, basically your vibration being set within that frequency of your physical body echoes and attributes to those further along in beginning histories, DNA strands that also travel within your body. And as I was saying, just as you have different types of different melanated beings and Asiatic beings and all these things, they all trickle down from a standard point of being that's spliced in gender and mixed with other beings to even get to that one gender. So everyone's a mix up, but staying more with the Draconians and the Reptilians type beings, they have a major hole within this constellation because this is basically kind of their domain because they're trying to continue their lifespan, which is part of even all this creation in general, being created in the image of. And that's why the reptilian is the most dominant within our genetic upbringing. Because even through birth, you would first see the child will start out first as a reptilian being, as a little reptile cell, and it grows into a gray. It continues the metamorphosis, and the grays have to do a lot with it because they're majorly part of a gene splicing because their star constellation and the genes they're related to, they had their hand in it also. But I'll do another video on them and their part and what they're playing and how they're moving around because they carry basically when it comes to certain psychic and etheric power, that's more within their standard and their standards of work. But when it comes to mystic and control and directing, it goes to more the reptilian type branches of beings. And as I was saying, the Anukais, they're a type of reptilian being. The Abenaki, they're not all the way reptilian, but they even they kind of they basically created that the reptilian type of beings. There, there's another constellation type of being. Um, but more, as I was saying with the Alpha Draconians, if you are under certain star constellations, you will attribute more within that DNA, just as some humans will attribute more with gray DNA, some um, humans attribute more with Lyrian DNA, the cat, which people refer to the cat people. And then they were also, within the Egyptian era, were having a say so in a lot of things also. And even eras before that. And for example, me, I was, hold on. All right, so y'all can see. For example, me, due to my genetic makeup, realized knowing my vessel that part of major of my DNA attributes to Alpha Draconian and Anukai. And plain said, so when it comes to understanding a lot of things in this inconclusive universe, and when you study thyself and know, and then you look into the more spiritual based religions and spiritual practices, and you see they use snake imagery because it's the conscious realization of knowing the vessel and knowing that it's mind and soul, but you are also your body. And they teach you through these mechanisms, tantras, and all these how to keep your vessel working and to using your vessel to manipulate reality in general. And there's different ways and different techniques for each and different types of beings, but everyone can channel and unlock those certain DNA strands and elements within their body and realizations to use it within their reality. And that's just truth, and that's just how it is. Uh, and as I was saying, when I was speaking on any reptilian being, it's all about constriction, control, and manipulation. So, and you are manipulating your reality every day, and it's also being manipulated every day within the outside world. And so, I guess with some more points to hit on with Alpha Draconians, as I said, they're relative with other reptilians and Anukkis, and then on Mars, when basically when we had our state of living and our existences on Mars and whatnot, uh, the Anukkai were the major, basically branch, the government or super system leading everything. So, as I said, this is their galactical, they have the most ownership right now, and that's part of I don't want to say the battle, but that's part of the agenda and the turn is what being is going to, and the upright when are at the human state of being, can they become part of more the galactic universe, and there are certain beings that become that, and that's when you get into Christ consciousness and high consciousness, because these beings obviously have unlocked their power, just as many monks, yogis, and shamans, all these people, they do the vessel practices through the vessel they're in by realizing their state of being when it comes to kundalini and the energies that are mixed in and attributed to the body, and through the knowledge, through the higher beings bringing down to us through certain religious texts and many things, and how you can also do that, that's yourself, but that is hidden because they don't want you to become powerful so they can't gain the control. So that's the ever going plot and twist within the works. But as shifts and consciousness rises, it's becoming more aware, and it has to happen. It can't stay too stagnant. Because everything's ever changing and natural shifts will occur always, which is why there are certain events and the rituals planned out put into the masses to undermine their consciousness and lower their consciousness, not to reach that higher consciousness.